This just can't be. Oh, I didn't realize this was recording. This is Detective Hugh Jazz. There's a space in there. Reporting on the curious incident of the dog in the nighttime by Mark Haddon. Now, this might sound far-fetched, and not a whole lot, believe me, but I've presented plenty of evidence in my case. Behold. This is what raised my suspicions in the first place. This page is where Christopher's dad, or our main guy, what's his name, confesses to killing the dog Wellington. So, case solved, right? We've got someone confessing, pleading guilty. We're done. Yeah, we're done. You're wrong. I've been a detective for 45 years, and it's never once been that simple as a confession of a murder and then it's done. No. This man was lying because he knew the truth, or at least part of the truth. But I'll let you figure that out as we get further into this. Firstly, look at this quote here. Father had murdered Wellington. That was Christopher's conclusion, an assumption. Did we actually read his father's own words saying that he killed the dog?
Yeah, except he did confess on page 120, if you remember that.
Shut up, Linda. Anyway, before that hag interrupted me. Wait. Dear God. Moving swiftly on, it seems that my first piece of evidence was a dead end, but I'm still very confident in the rest of my theory. One cold trail is not going to stop me. Now, look. At the very beginning of the book, we are told that Wellington is a poodle. This is Wellington. Not actually, but this is essentially what he was. Black poodle, curls and everything. And we know poodles are smart, one of the smartest dog breeds out there. So, how smart exactly? And when does that intelligence become dangerous for, say, you or me, or in this case, Christopher and his dad? Now, intelligence does vary from poodle to poodle, but it's safe to say that Wellington was smart. Now look at this. Later on in the book, Christopher's dad, in explaining his alleged murder of the dog, explains that Wellington could be unpredictable. One minute he could be super friendly and sweet, and the next second he could be ripping your face off. Does that sound like a victim? I don't think so. Now, due to this, it's only natural that he would get aggressive after hearing Mrs. Shears and Christopher's dad arguing, perhaps, considering how loyal he is to his owner. Now, this is the perfect opportunity for Christopher's dad to explain that he killed the dog, whether out of self-defense or out of anger. It's the perfect alibi. However, we also know that Christopher's dad wanted him to stop the investigations. From the very beginning, he was against it. So, with the perfect alibi and an intense desire to stop Christopher from uncovering the true answers, he comes up with the lie. Now only 3 questions remain. 1, who really killed Wellington? And 2, was Christopher's dad a willing accomplice, or was he roped into this whole thing through manipulation? And finally, most importantly, who's the true mastermind behind everything? Let's address these one at a time. But personally, I believe that Christopher's dad was an unwilling accomplice. This whole time he was only telling the lie because he wanted Christopher to be happy and okay. Tragic, really, but you know, all good murderers have to throw someone under the bus. So, if Christopher's dad was lying, who really killed Wellington? Well, let's think about it. Wellington was very loyal to his owner, and Christopher's dad claimed that she cared more about the dog than she did about Christopher's dad and Christopher himself. So, is it possible that the dog perhaps acted out of jealousy? I mean, consider, she threw the accusation at Christopher that he killed the dog without even considering any of the facts. Then, consider too, the fact that she was also likely angry after the argument with Christopher's dad. So, with Christopher and his dad as the perfect victims of blame for revenge, she killed Wellington. All she had to do was wait patiently for Christopher's dad to uncover the truth himself. Now, look at this. This was the murder weapon. It's her garden fork, right? So would anyone be suspicious if her fingerprints were on her own garden fork here? The evidence is overwhelming.
No, you gave about 3 pieces of possible evidence. There's nothing solid even here.
30 years doing this job, and still nobody takes me seriously.
Maybe it's because you're full of it.
It's pretty clear to conclude then that Christopher's dad wasn't a willing accomplice. He was threatened by Christopher's intense desire to uncover the truth and his possible involvement in the case. So he took up the mantle both to try and cover up the tracks and to regain his son's trust again. And we see that that doesn't work. So, that only leaves one question left. Who is the true mastermind? So, you might think, well, Mrs. Shears killed the dog, so it's obvious that she's the mastermind behind this. I'm here to tell you that you're wrong. I told you before, poodles are smart. Smarter than you think. Take this one, for example. Now, he isn't full poodle, as you can see, but don't let that fool you. He's still a cunning, vicious beast, just like all poodles. Just watch. The second I put my hand in front of his face, he'll try and bite it off. Yeah. Oh. Did you see that? No. Of course he didn't. Because why would he bite you while I'm recording? He's smarter than you think. So, what's the point, you ask? Well, the point is, Wellington is the mastermind. Nobody would suspect that Mrs. Shears was going to kill her dog. So, who would suspect that the dog was the one behind it all? I mean, Mrs. Shears likely would have been way lonelier had she never had Wellington, and maybe then she might have had a happy life with Christopher and his dad. Seeing how close his owner and Christopher's dad were getting, Wellington decided to act. He decided to be as annoying as possible, okay? Until Christopher's dad couldn't take it anymore. He had to say something because, are you serious? Are you serious? Anyway. So Miss Shears gets offended by Christopher's dad's attempts to more or less so insult the dog. This escalates into a full-blown argument. But that argument, that wouldn't have been enough for the dog. That wouldn't have been enough for the dog. So, after Christopher's dad leaves in a huff, the dog starts acting protective about his owner, aggressive toward Christopher's dad. When that happens, Mrs. Shears, who is in on the whole thing, ends up being the one to murder the dog, making it seem like Christopher's dad was the one who did it and not her, considering the time range. Then, in a last-ditch effort to keep Chris from unveiling the truth, Christopher's dad has no choice but to play along and tell the lie that he killed Wellington. You see now, it's clear, abundantly clear. Wellington was the mastermind. Mrs. Shears was the murderer. Christopher and his dad are innocent. Case closed.
None of that made any sense. I know. Just pick up the stuff. Come on. Burn it before you can present it to the chief.